All right, let's talk about something every soldier really needs to understand. Non-judicial punishment, or as pretty much everyone calls it, the Article 15. You've probably heard the term thrown around, right? Well, today we're going to cut through all that jargon and get straight to what you need to know using the Army's own rulebook, AR 2710, as our guide. So let's jump right in.
Look, if you're watching this because you're actually facing an Article 15, just take a second. I get it. It can be a really stressful and confusing time, but knowledge is your best weapon here. The whole point of this explainer is to give you a clear, simple map of the process so you can walk through it with some confidence.
So what is this thing, really? Well, think of non-judicial punishment, or NJP, as a tool your commander has for dealing with minor misconduct. It's meant to be fast and efficient. It's definitely more serious than a counseling statement, but it's designed to stop well short of a full-blown court-martial. It keeps things right there at the unit level.
To make this super clear, here's our game plan. We'll talk about what an Article 15 is and why it even exists. Then, we'll get into the different levels and what each one could mean for you. After that, we'll walk through the whole process, step by step, really focus on your rights, and then wrap up with the one key thing you need to remember.
Okay, first things first, let's understand the why. Because if you don't get the purpose behind an Article 15, none of the other steps are going to make a whole lot of sense. So let's start at the very beginning.
Here's probably the easiest way to think about this. An Article 15, it's kind of like being sent to the principal's office. It's serious, your commander is in charge, and yeah, there are consequences. A court-martial, though, that's a whole different world. That's like going to actual court, with judges and lawyers and the very real possibility of a federal conviction. The whole idea behind the Article 15 is to avoid that much more serious path for minor slip-ups.
And you might be surprised by the official purpose of NJP, pulled straight from the regulation. It's not just about punishment. The main goals are actually to correct and educate you, to protect a soldier's record from the life-altering stigma of a court-martial conviction, and, to just keep discipline efficient at the unit level. The real focus here is on correction, not just conviction.
Now, it's super important to know that not all Article 15s are the same. Not even close. The kind of consequences you might face depend completely on the level of NJP. So let's break that down, because understanding these levels is how you know the stakes.
That's right, the level of NJP, whether it's summarized, company grade, or field grade, is what decides the absolute maximum punishment you can receive. Let's see exactly what that looks like. This table lays it all out pretty clearly. A summarized Article 15 is the lowest level. It's capped to 14 days of restriction or extra duties. And notice this, no loss of pay, no loss of rank. Simple. Now, a company grade Article 15, usually from a captain, it steps things up. You could lose 7 days' pay and even get reduced 1 rank if you're an E4 or below. Then you have the field grade Article 15. This comes from a major or higher. And believe me, the stakes are much, much higher. We're talking up to 45 days of extra duties, 60 days of restriction, losing half a month's pay for 2 months, and a reduction in rank. Big difference.
Okay, so you get the what and the why. Now let's talk about the how. The Article 15 process might seem like a maze, but it actually follows a really clear and predictable path. Let's walk through it together, step by step. It really comes down to these 4 steps. First up is the notification, or what a lot of people call the first reading. This is when you're officially told what you're being accused of, and you get all the paperwork. Then comes your decision period, and this part is absolutely crucial. The Army gives you time, usually 48 hours, to just think and to talk to a lawyer. After that, you have the hearing, the second reading, which is your shot to tell your side to the commander. And finally, there's the commander's finding. That's where a decision on guilt is made, and if you're found guilty, a punishment is handed down.
Pay close attention here, because this is, without a doubt, the most important part of this entire explainer. An Article 15 isn't just something that happens to you. It's a process where you have specific, guaranteed rights, and knowing them, well, that's how you take back some control.
Seriously, I want you to let that sink in. This is not supposed to be a one-sided thing. The system is actually built to make sure you have a voice and you can defend yourself. You cannot forget that.
And this shows you exactly what those rights look like when you're in that hearing. You are not just sitting there waiting for something to happen. You have the right to tell your side of the story. You can call up your own witnesses. You can present your own evidence, things like text messages or pictures that help your case. You can even ask to have someone there to speak for you. You are an active participant, period.
This is a big one. Just like you see on TV, you have the right to remain silent. They can't force you to make a statement about what happened, and you have to understand anything you do say can and will be used against you, not just in the Article 15 hearing, but maybe even in a court-martial down the road.
This might be the single most important right you have, and a lot of people just don't use it. You have an absolute right to talk to a lawyer. The Army gives you this service for free through the Trial Defense Service, or TDS. These are real military lawyers, and their only job is to look out for you. Before you make any decisions at all, talking to TDS is probably the smartest move you can possibly make. So during that decision period, you're going to face this massive choice. Do you accept the Article 15, or do you turn it down and demand a trial by court-martial? If you accept the Article 15, you're letting your commander handle it. The punishments are limited, like we saw, and it's over relatively fast. If you demand a trial, you're basically rolling the dice. Sure, you get all the protections of a formal court, but if you're found guilty, the penalties can be way, way worse. We're talking a bad conduct discharge, major confinement time, and a federal criminal record. This right here, this is the decision you need to be talking about with a TDS lawyer.
Whew! We've gone over a lot, from what NJP is and why it exists, to the different levels, the whole process, and your rights. But if you only remember one single thing from all of this, please let it be this. This is not some verdict just being handed down from above. It is a disciplinary process where your side of the story, your evidence, and your choices actually matter. You have a right to speak, a right to present evidence, a right to a lawyer, and a right to make a choice. Don't just sit back and let it happen to you. Use your voice.
So, we've laid out the map for you. You now understand the landscape of an Article 15. The rules aren't some big secret. They're there to make sure things are fair. Knowing your rights is that huge first step. The only question left is, what are you going to do with that knowledge?